Welcome back to the We Are Wavemakers podcast, where we explore the intersection of purpose, passion, and how it connects to holistic marketing for businesses. Presented by the Wavemakers Collective, we invite you to sit back and tune into conversations with experts from Southeast Asia on how businesses can apply the holistic marketing approach to grow their business. I'm your host, Nazira Hashim, and I am delighted to welcome you all today as we chat with Edward Irwan, General Manager at Outpost in Canggu, Bali, a prestigious co-working space known for its dynamic and innovative approach to fostering collaboration and productivity. With his core background in hospitality, Edward has always had a unique approach to curating experiences in co-working spaces. His previous tenure at Marquee showcased plenty of exciting events and activations that I, for one, believe was engaging and empowering the communities. And today, we are here to uncover his insights on what it takes to curate a thriving co-working environment for teams. Welcome, Edward. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Naz. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No problem.
Super glad to be here.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about co-working spaces, because you've been in the industry for a while. Can you start by explaining what's your philosophy in curating a thriving co-working environment? Like, what does it look like in your opinion?
Well, when it comes to that, I think it all comes down to one word, which is the community.
Mm-hmm.
I always believe that co-working is about fostering community.
Yeah.
It's the main reason why people are looking for a co-working space. It's not really so much about the workspace itself,
Yes.
but it's actually about how they will be able to meet and grow within a community that they are comfortable with, and they feel that they can, channel their enthusiasm and their passion as well.
Yeah, I see. I mean, yeah, I believe that if the word co-working space is about community, it definitely drives a certain type of people to this space.
Mm-hmm.
And what are those essential elements that every co-working spaces should have, if you think about it? Like when you say community, like there's so many types of communities out there, right? So what are the essential elements you think that drive that community?
Well, that's a real challenge because, like you said yourself, like there are so many different communities, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, like a co-working space shouldn't be known only as like a place for one community. It should be able to foster like many different communities.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge for us will be like how we are able to curate the events that can gather them all together.
Right.
So when we talk about like the essential thing, like especially like our community and experience team, like they should be able to see the trends, like for example, like what is the latest trend and events, that can attract like different kind of communities, and that's the main challenge, and it's easier said than done.
Right,
obviously,
right. Yeah.
And not only that, because, like right now, like there's so many different co-working spaces as well, right?
Yes.
And I guess, like when you're in a business of co-working space, you kind of have the same philosophy, like you already know what you're doing. So everybody kind of want to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be able to stand out from the others.
And when you say like standing out, would you say that when people come there, is it about wanting to be more productive, like a community that's productive, or is it a community that's creative? What would you say is more important in a space according to what you see in the people that come to the spaces?
I think it's a little bit of both, because if we're talking about, like people want to get productive in the co-working space, obviously they still come to work, right?
Yeah.
So essential things like, like comfortable chairs, like comfortable working desk, like running fast and running internet, like cafe.
Yeah.
It's the type of essential things that a member needs when they enter a co-working space, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we need to provide those. But when it comes to like the creativity part, or like being involved in the community, that's where the other part, which is very essential, coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like a lot of the members, when they come, they want to be inside the community. Like they want to meet people, like they want to expand their network, but maybe they're shy, like they're new. They just arrived from like different parts of the world. They don't really know the custom, like, so they might be like the first day or two, they might be just sitting in their corner, like sitting with their laptops on and kind of look around, like, hey, like, should I go there and talk, or should I join this and that? And it is our job to be able to feel them like they're welcome, and so they're able to open up and join, like the events, like say hi to the other members.
Yeah.
So That's the major part.
That's the major activation stuff that you guys do. That's awesome. I mean, I'm an introvert, so I would imagine that if I was to go in a co-working space, I would love to have that sort of environment where people make you feel welcome. And I think it's fundamental if we talk about a co-working space being about the community, as you said. It is really important for the, community managers and the GM, I mean, the whole company of the, co-working space to really have that energy of bringing people, no matter introvert or extrovert, to be able to feel like they belong, because that's what community is all about. That being said, I wanted to know, how do you handle the challenge of maintaining a collaborative and inclusive culture in a co-working environment, especially, knowing the fact that we're in Bali, and Bali is like a diverse range of individuals come here and go to these co-working places like Outposts, and you have all sorts of nationalities. How do you make it feel inclusive?
Well, at Outpost, we always try to say that we want the members to be connected with the destinations, right?
Right.
So being in Bali, we would like them as much as possible to be connected with Bali, whether it's the culture, whether it's the traveling part, whether it's meeting with the people, or get in touch with the local community. So we use that perception to bring everybody in.
Right.
I'm very sure at least 90% of people, when they decided to go to Bali as a digital nomad, they're also interested with the culture, that's a big reason, right?
Yeah.
So we're using that perception to bring everybody in together, and we started with even small things, we gather members meetup, every week, where it's just like a casual sit down, especially for the new members.
Yeah.
We will be hosting, and we are providing local snacks, things that they never really tried before.
That's cool.
And at least it's becoming an icebreaker thing, or a conversational piece, right?
Yeah.
Or we do member lunch, where we cook local cuisine, something mild, not something too wild, something that they the first
not too spicy,
something that it's still in the acceptable for palates for different people, right?
Yes.
But these kind of things, it's really been appreciated by the members, because they feel not only that I'm able to meet the other people, through this media, but I'm also able to start learning about the new culture, and just in the same place where I can get productive.
Yeah.
And we also have co-living, right, where I'm staying as well, so that's how we overcome the challenge, basically.
Yeah, because Outpost has that co-living environment. It's also even more stronger to foster that community.
Yeah,
I love that. That's amazing.
and that's actually how we wanted to get known as well. So it's not so much about the co-working anymore, but the co-working is part of the larger ecosystem, which is the co-living part, and the community part, and we even now start to be more active in providing travel services, for the members, because we realized that a lot of the members, when they come to Bali, they want to go to different places in Bali. They want to try surfing, they want to try paragliding, but they might not be really comfortable to find external by their own. So they would like us to curate those for them. And we're more than happy to, and again, this is a type of thing that bring people together. You don't only meet the community inside your working bubble, but also outside, on the weekend, and you grow and learn together, basically.
That's awesome, because actually that just brings this thought to me about the word trust, because I feel like in a community, you need to have that trust. And if you're not building that trust with your community, then it all falls apart. And I think what Outpost does really well is you guys are so good at bringing them together, curating the right kind of activations and events, and a way of speaking to the members that they have that trust enough that, even outside of work, they want you to tell them where they can go and who's the trusted advisors that they can, travel with, etc. So I love that. I think that's really cool. I didn't even know that you guys had that going. So actually, I guess, the question I wanted to ask was, how do you measure the success of a co-working environment? I think we can expand on that, but I feel like you already explained the success because people are going beyond their co-working spaces to be with you. But is there anything else we could say is measured as a success?
Okay. We're talking about environment, right? Specifically environment, right?
Yeah.
So, because if you're talking about the KPI of co-working, I would go back to the finance part, and it can get really boring. But okay, environment-wise. Well, environment-wise, I see the great success when we do events that are like really social related. It has nothing to do with work. It has nothing to do with seminars or skill sharing. And it's all about socializing, like whether we do a barbecue, whether we do like a family dinner at the cafe where we have our co-working, or at the rooftop of our co-living, and when the members join and it's full, I think it's very rewarding, because you can tell that the members are comfortable to be there. Like they don't feel like, oh, you know what, I've been cooped up in the co-working space for 8 hours and I can't wait to get out of here and go somewhere, but the fact that they, you know what, hey, I'm gonna go back to my room for a quick shower and I'll come back to join the dinner. I found it very rewarding, because then we know that we are able to create events that they are very excited with.
Yeah.
And of course, like another thing in a longer run, it always rewarding when we see like members who already left and they still want to be part of the community, like whether they're still inside our Facebook group or like WhatsApp group or like we have like our own like sort of like a social media platform for the members to be connected. We call it Outpost Member Hub. And when we see like members who have been away like for 6 months, and they suddenly they post picture, hey, you know what, I just found this picture in my phone, like back when we were traveling to Mount Batur, with all the outposters, like I just miss these guys so much and just trying to say hi, and it feels like, wow, like the community is really there and they are not bound into like the same where I have to be in the same space, like it's
that's
beyond
awesome.
that.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so true. I mean, when you can make someone leave the place and still come back, like they still think about you when they're far away from you, that's really powerful. I think that's really amazing to hear. And I'm glad that's happening and you guys have the little platform for it. Now going on to say at the workspace, right? Can you share some examples of successful team collaborations in a co-working environment? Because sometimes what we realize is that co-working environment, some people say that it's like hard to be productive because there's too many like people or, and I guess maybe because it's an open space environment, maybe sometimes it's not easy, but I'm sure that's not the case. I'm sure there are successful team collaborations. And I'd love to hear if you have any examples of such things happening, like maybe a startup that was there and did well from it.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think of it, I think there are few successful stories, because the members, they came from different places, right? And they came as individuals, like one is a graphic designer, one is a digital marketing strategist, one is in finance, and they didn't come to Bali to like foster or to create a collaborations or even like a business partnership. They just want to try to be a digital nomad. But then this usually happen in events like seminars or workshops, because we do a seminar about, for example, like the future of AI in digital marketing, like, and then like people with different background but the same interest will join, right? Like the guy in finance, and then the guy in digital marketing and the girl in graphic design, they will come, because they see a similar interest in AI and their business in the future. And then after like the event, they go to the networking session that we provided, and then they start talking about the possibility of forming something together, and it happened. It happened. I'm not be able to say the brand.
Oh, you don't have to.
But it really happened, And again, this is something that a co-working space should be. This is the reason, right? It's not only about I'm gonna work in a place where I can, like be in the same space, in the same room with a lot of people, but it's about the possibility of meeting other people and get something productive out of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to know. Do those things actually happen? And I guess they do, huh?
Yeah, but then again, like we have to be the one that encouraging it, like it's more difficult now. It's also a challenge for us because now people are becoming more serious when they are working in a co-working space.
Oh.
Yeah, we see that we start to see the shift in the trend, like maybe if we're talking before the pandemic, you know, like people really chatty inside the co-working space, like they have the mentality like, oh, I want to collaborate, like I want to meet new partners, like, so it's more chatting than working, like I have a member who said that before, like I feel like I'm chatting more than just working. I'm not really productive. But now we see like it's becoming more serious. So we see now, okay, so the business is good, because people can get productive in a co-working space. They were able to make a living out of working from a co-working space, so they'll become our member longer. But then at the same time, it poses another challenge, which is we want to see the members also more engaging, right,
Yes.
to each other, so that's where we have to come in and encourage it and curating the events.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's why, I wanted to talk to you, it's about curation, and I know that it's going to be a challenge as we evolve, and post-pandemic, I feel like people are definitely a lot more reserved with their ways of interacting with others for many reasons, right? And they all have their reasons. And I guess that goes to our final question, which is how do you foresee the future of co-working spaces, evolving? Are there any, we talked about trends, like what can we do if people are more serious? Like, what are we going to do with that kind of curation? What's the future going to hold with co-working spaces?
There are two challenges the way I see it. The first one is more members are becoming more specific about which community that they are looking for. So going back to the topic that we talked about earlier in our session, like different people, but we want to bring them together, right? But at the same time now, like we feel that, okay, for example, like they want to become a YouTuber. They will go to a YouTuber academy, instead of going to a regular co-working space.
Yeah.
So we will have to be able to win them by giving them the perspective that it's actually more valuable for you to come to a co-working space, because yes, we will have events that suit your needs, but you will be able to expand your horizon as well by meeting other people that may not be in the same interest with you in the beginning.
Yes.
And the second, I feel like, like this post-pandemic, they are more like digital nomad traveling with their family.
I see.
And we start to see like members coming in with their family, not like a mom, dad, and kids.
Okay.
Like the kids may not be working in the co-working space, but we see them like first time they come, like they're checking out the space, they're looking for the price and such, like, and then they bring their kids, and they will be asking, like what kind of activities that my kids can do around here. So it will be a challenge for us to be able to accommodate those needs as well.
Yes.
To ensure that when I travel with my family as a digital nomad or as a digital nomad family, like my whole family members can be taken care of as well.
Correct. That's so true.
I would feel that would be the real challenge in this coming years.
It's almost like the space itself has to evolve to curate for families. I mean, it makes sense because, the whole ecosystem of co-working spaces, it kind of like became a thing in the era of like millennials in their early 20s. And now a lot of them might already have families, have met their partners, and they all have small children. And so I feel like a lot of them are definitely keen to travel the world with their family and co-working. They'll ask these questions like, where are the spaces that accommodate for my kids as well?
Exactly, yeah.
And in Bali, there are plenty of, daycare centers and things like that. But it might be a creative opportunity for places like Outpost to think of partnerships, right? With other spaces for kids while they, parents are working. But that's great observations. And I'm really interested to see how that evolves in the next year or two. But yeah, that kind of wraps up our conversation, actually. So thank you so much for sharing your insights.
My pleasure.
It's been really amazing. And I really hope to welcome you again in our podcast. Maybe we'll have a different conversation a year from now about co-working spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Edward. That wraps up our 5th episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, do give us a follow at wavemakers.co on our Instagram to stay updated on our latest episodes. Thanks for tuning in.